Welcome to the Voice of Oneness, your call to awaken. This show is your call to awaken to the truth of your being through the teachings of the Voice of Oneness, spoken by Aumara. On this show, you will receive spiritual guidance and the teachings of oneness from the heart of spirit directly to your heart, along with the tools and techniques to apply these teachings to your day-to-day life. Tuning in each week, you will grow in a deeper, richer understanding of your true nature as teachings are offered about universal spiritual laws that govern our lives. You will learn the right use and application of these laws to achieve the richest life from the perspective of experiencing abundance in all areas of your life. Aumara is a renowned psychic, spiritual teacher, coach, energy healer, mystic, and gifted visionary who taps into the higher realms to join with the vast collective of source energy. Now, your host of Voice of Oneness, Aumara.
Hello and welcome, beautiful souls. Thank you for joining me here on the Voice of Oneness, your call to awaken podcast this evening on WLTK Talk Radio. Tonight's topic is living life as a highly sensitive empath. And this is something that's near and dear to my life experience because I am a highly sensitive empath. And I don't want to give away my age, but I will say that when I was younger and growing up, the word empath, that term was not known. That wasn't spoken about. I don't know. And I was even been preparing for this show tonight. I was going, I need to find out the history of the term empath because I didn't come upon it until, I guess, in the 90s, maybe the early 90s. Before that, I never heard of it. So I want to begin tonight with the history of the word empath. So the word empath, this term, it originated from the word empathy, which comes from the Greek word empathia, meaning passion or state of emotion. However, the term empath itself is believed to have been coined by an author of a science fiction novel. Her name is Marion Zimmer Bradley. And the title of the novel was The Plant Savers, and she wrote this in 1952. The term was later popularized by psychologists and New Age practitioners who used it to describe individuals who possess a high level of empathy and emotional sensitivity. So, empathy and emotional sensitivity. That brings us to what is an empath? An empath, this term describes someone who feels deeply inside our bodies. We can feel, we can sense emotion and energy of others, of places, of things, inanimate objects, as well as plants, animals, you name it. We can feel it. Empaths are finely tuned instruments who feel everything. For an empath who is unaware of what is happening or does not yet have the knowing of how to manage their energy, this experience can be overwhelming. And some people refer to it as a curse and having to live life as an empath. That it is not a curse, it is a blessing. It is something that is earned. If you entered this world and you were born into this world and you are born as an empath, you're born into this world, it means that you have earned it. You are at a particular level of spiritual development that you came onto this planet to help balance. You are a natural balancer. You balance energy. Now, in doing that, it takes understanding, it takes work, it takes self-reflection, it takes a lot of deep work within the empath to understand the energy, and it also takes the knowledge of how to manage it and how to remain balanced yourself. So I'll get into all that tonight. But if you're unaware that you are picking up energy all around you and you become overwhelmed many times without knowing how to manage that energy, you can become anxious, suffer with anxiety, depression. You may want to be left alone, withdraw, kind of be reclusive, keep yourself in isolation. You may turn to drugs, to alcohol, to escape the pain of not understanding what you're feeling and what's going on inside your body. Empaths are highly receptive and sensitive. It's part of the integral parts of our mental, emotional, and physical being, of which is embedded within us. This is not something to get over. It's not something to deny or discard. There is no off switch. That means we cannot turn off that which we are innately within us. However, we can learn boundaries. We can learn that we have choice on the energy of which we allow into our field or not. That's not the same as turning it off. We are natural sponges. We will take on the energy that is around us all of the time. So it's for us to be acutely aware of the environment in which we are within, who we are with, who's around us, what activity we're engaging in, because all that's going to have a deep impact on us because we are such sponges. So once again, I want to remind everyone listening to participate. We have the comment section here. If you've got a question, or if I'm just rolling along with information and you'd like to interject a question or an experience that you're having, please do so. Join me on the chat and we can all experience the energy together. So now we know that empaths, once again, are highly tuned to the feeling sense. All empaths feel deeply and powerfully. It is our way of expressing our energy. We are healers, teachers, artists, those who are creative, those in connection with others on the levels of truth. We tune in to truth, wisdom, justice. That's where we're drawn to. You'll never find an empath playing in the field of untruths. In fact, an empath can sense untruth immediately. There is no possibility of pulling the wool over an empath's eyes. There's no possibility of lying to an empath without them knowing exactly what you're doing. And I must admit, from a personal level, that in my lifetime thus far has been the most difficult aspect to deal with, is knowing that when you're looking at someone and it's someone that you believe you have a good relationship with, and they're lying to your face and you know it, but you don't want to say anything. You don't want to say that you know it, and it's hurting your feelings because you can read the energy. So that's been the most difficult challenge for me. I mean, when it's someone who's that you're not an emotional bond with, it's not as difficult as when you are, when it's a dear friend or a spouse or someone you're dating or whatever it may be, and you know that they're not telling the truth, but they want you to believe their story. So then you have to decide within yourself on how you want to move forward with that. And remember that our innate nature is to balance. So we want to balance it. We want to balance the energy. So we default right away to, oh my gosh, they're lying. Why are they lying? We don't necessarily understand right off why there's a lie taking place, because we're all about truth. We're all about justice. We're all about balance. So we're like, well, they don't have to be doing this, and then we'll make it within ourselves how we need to move forward with it is what we choose to do. So now, for those of you that may be listening that are, hi, Katie, good evening, Spirit, yeah. For those of you that may be listening that are wondering whether or not you are an empath, I have a list of different traits and see where you fall within them. Do you identify with many of these? Do they resonate with you? Do you feel like this is describing you? It was once again as I said, I didn't come upon the term until like the 90s, I think, and growing up, I was just labeled highly sensitive daydreamer. One who was maybe, back in my day, they didn't label people, as ADHD. You were just a highly sensitive daydreamer. If you weren't paying attention, you had the inability to stay on task because you became easily bored and would look out the window. Because you were feeling and sensing the energy of the bird that's outside coming back and forth from its nest, feeding the babies, so it's hard to focus at times because you are aware of everything around you. You're taking in all of the energy, not just the person that, as a teacher, maybe in the front of the room lecturing. You're not just focused on them. You've got the whole room. You've got everybody. So that's what's going on as an empath. So empaths, they just know stuff without being told. You just have an inner knowing. It's a knowing that goes beyond intuition, our gut feelings, even though it has many people would describe the knowing as it's just a feeling. It's a gut feeling. It's more than that. You're attuned to the energy. You're feeling the flow of energy. You're relating to the field in a different way. You're able to read and sense the energy. You take it in to you. You soak it up like a sponge. Being in public places can be overwhelming. Places like shopping malls, supermarkets, wherever crowds gather, concerts. It's very difficult because, once again, you're picking up the emotions of everyone around you. Feeling others' emotions and taking them on as your own. This is a challenge for empaths when they're not realizing what they're doing or how to deal with taking on the energy. Many times you can take it on and think it's yours. There's something inside of me. This is my energy. I had a friend many years ago. She would call me up on the phone and I'd answer the phone and she said, hello. She says, do you have a headache? And I said, what? She said, do you have a headache? I have a really bad headache and I don't think it's mine. Am I picking you up? Meaning, is she picking up my energy that she's feeling me in the field and she's feeling the headache and she's taking it on as hers? And, I used to laugh, but that's very plausible. That happens because energy knows no boundaries. We're all energy. We're all always connecting with one another all the time in the field. So we do take on the energy of others and can feel it. And it became very clear to me as a Reiki master when we working with someone on the table and I'd place my hands upon them. And all of a sudden I placed my hands upon them and my back, just such a pain, sharp pain hit me in the middle of my back. And I'm like, oh, I didn't have a pain before that. So I lift one hand off the client and all of a sudden the pain's gone. Put the both hands back on and boom, the pain is there. And that's an example of feeling that energy deep within our body. So it's not just emotions. I can feel if somebody's had a surgery, whatever they've got going on inside their body. When I'm doing a reading with them or I'm working on healing, I sense that inside my own body as if it were mine. if it were mine. I wouldn't be able to say, well, I've got this pain. Now I don't know whether it's from this client or from me. The only way I knew and I learned is if I took my hands off them, the pain went away. And I say, it's not mine, it's theirs. So know that we do take on the pain. So we get the feelings, the emotions. We can feel the people around us, nearby us, the people that can be at a vast distance, because energy has no boundaries. The more adept an empath is, the deeper they will feel. If someone's having bad thoughts about them from a distance, they will feel it. It's like we get the thought. Thoughts are energy. Everything is energy. We live in a vibrational universe. When someone sends a thought, they're thinking a thought. I say sending it because you think it and it's about somebody else. You're sending that thought out, whether you realize it is or not. And it goes out like an arrow. Vroom, and it goes instantly to the individual who you're holding the thought about. And those that are unaware will not realize that they've just been struck by an arrow. Those that are aware will pick it up and be able to read it. Oh, this is so-and-so, and this is the thought they're thinking. Not everyone can do that, but a highly sensitive empath can. Now, we're always holding thoughts. So just know, if you're thinking a thought about somebody, that energy is going to that person. So you are responsible for what you send out. What you send out, you'll get back. Just know that. So, when someone's not being honest, we talked about that. If a friend or a loved one's telling you a lie, you know it. You know it instantly. They can't hide it. It used to, many times for me with my husband, he'd be going to give me a present and it'd be wrapped up on the table like one Valentine's Day. I walked into the house and the present was on the table and I just knew, boom, immediately it was a Himalayan salt lamp. And he's all excited because I'm going to open the present. He looks at me, he goes, you know what it is, don't you? And I go, I have a really strong impression it's a Himalayan salt lamp. And he goes, why even wrap it? He says, it's no fun giving you presents because you know before you open it. But we can pick up on the energy of things as well as people once again. We pick up on physical symptoms of another person. An empath will almost always develop the ailments of another. Colds, infections, aches, and pains, especially those that are closest to us. Somewhat like sympathy pains. We will also do it because we can move the energy where someone else might not be able to. So if we're taking on someone's pain, it lessens their pain. So it's not as severe. And we can move it through our body when we know what we're doing. We can move it through quickly and without having any ill effect on us. So we will do that with emotional pain and physical pain of another. When we do not know what we're doing and we're doing it subconsciously, we are going to experience it and we may take it on as it's mine. This is the way I'm feeling. This is a pain in my body. This belongs to me. When it may not, it may belong to the person, another person. It may also be that we're taking on energies from the planet, from the earth, from Gaia, from Mother Earth. We can sense and feel her vibration. We can sense and feel when we're not aligned or when there's misalignment in an area that we visit. We may be in a specific location and we just know something's off. We don't necessarily know exactly what it is, but we can feel that the energy is off because we're that sensitive, we're that tuned. So that can relate into someone that does not know what they're feeling. They may think that there's something wrong with them, that they're odd. Or here I go again. I'm just a sensitive person. I just don't like the vibe. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be around it. But what you may be picking up on is the emotions of someone that was in that area that experienced something that was not good, or they may have lost their life there. Like driving down the highway and you pass a certain point. And this happened to me. This was my personal experience. And I would pass this point every day and I would feel in the pit of my stomach I would feel sick. And I was, oh, this just doesn't feel good. And I get very nervous. And then I found out that that was the location of a fatal accident that had happened several months before. So as I was passing that point, I didn't know that. I couldn't connect to that's what it was. I didn't see a vision of it in my mind. I just knew I sensed a feeling that in this specific location, something was off. I didn't feel right. And then as soon as I drove past it, I was fine. So that happens as well. So also digestive disorders, lower back pain. The solar plexus chakra is based in the center of the abdomen, and it's known as the seat of emotions. This is where empaths feel incoming emotion of another, which can weaken the area, eventually lead to anything from stomach ulcers to IBS to many other conditions. Lower back problems can develop from being ungrounded, amongst other things. And one who has no knowledge that they are an empath will be ungrounded. And the reason that's so is because you're taking in energy that's not yours all the time. So you're absorbing like a sponge. You're not grounded and centered. You have to learn how to ground and center and move the energy. So before you know what's going on, you're always going to be ungrounded. So there's where you may be very highly emotional and not know why. You may cry and somebody asks you what you're crying about and I don't know why. You may walk into a movie theater, sit down in a seat to watch a movie, and as soon as you sit down, you walked in feeling good, but you sat in the seat and all of a sudden you don't feel so in the mood to watch the movie. You may feel disturbed. You may feel anxious. You may feel angry, and you don't know why. And the reason is you sat in a seat of which the person that was in the seat before you held those energies, and you picked it up when you sat in the seat. So this is a good thing to understand, that when you are visiting a public event, you are out to a theater or a restaurant or any place that you have to take a seat, and that somebody might have been in that seat right before you, and you sit down, it doesn't feel good. It's time for you to get up and say, I need to change my seat. Don't stay in the seat. Get up and change the seat. So find the one that you do feel good in. Don't stay in it to be a people pleaser and I don't want to make any waves. I'm just going to sit in the seat. But meanwhile, you're sitting in the energy and it doesn't feel good. You want to stand up from the seat. You want to take your hands from the top of your head and brush it down your body to your toes. Just put the energy down. Remove the energy from you. Within your mind, see yourself as filled with white light, and then move to a different seat. That will save you a lot of discomfort. Others want to offload their troubles your way. Even strangers, you're like a dumping ground. People are drawn to you. And they say like a moth to the flame. They're drawn to you because you've got the energy of that empath that they can sense. You're the sponge. You're the one who's going to make it better. Them just unloading to you, you're going to pick it all up and they're going to leave. They're going to be lighter. They're going to feel good and you're going to feel like crap. That's what happens. When you realize that and you understand what's taking place, then once they leave, you can take that energy through you and release it. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. But when you don't know what's going on, you just feel bad. And they feel good. And you're like, oh gosh, I felt fine before, but now that they dumped on me, now I feel bad. And they seem to feel better, and that's what's going on there. Empaths, many times, as I said before, we may go to drugs, alcohol, food, any type of addiction just to help us feel better because we're in pain when we don't know what's going on. We're feeling everything so deeply inside of us and we don't know what to do with it. Usually we're drawn to healing professions, metaphysics, because metaphysics goes beyond this world and it feels good. We feel like we're being fed because we're connecting, we're tuning into. Remember, we've got more of a developed spiritual nature. So we tap into metaphysical activities and books and those, gather with others who are interested in metaphysics because we are that empath. Empaths would love to heal others, and they can end up turning away from being healers as well because you feel so much energy. You're drawn to it because, once again, innately, you're a balancer. And you know it on some level. It may not be on your conscious level, but you know it on some level. And you just want people to feel better. So you go into healing professions. You may become a doctor. You may become a nurse. You may become an energy healer. You may become a counselor, some sort of therapist. And there's so many modalities of which you can enter into. And you're doing it from that loving, I call it the healer heart, the loving healer heart. And you want to interrelate with others, and you can make a difference. You do not enter these professions thinking, oh, well, this might be something good for me. No, you know it on a very deep level. And then when you dive in after your training, you dive in and you start to pick up the energies of others, and you start taking it on, and you don't know how to release it, and you take it on until you're overwhelmed, and you quit. You run. You say, I can't do this. I'm far too sensitive. What was I thinking? And you were thinking the right thing. It's not that it was a bad thing. It's just that there's some more training needed here. The second half of it is how you work with the energy. And I have seen, throughout the years, healers will come to me and they're like, I'm doing Reiki on someone, or I've got some hands-on healing, and I'm just too sensitive. I'm not meant for this. I can't do this. And then I'll work with them and I'll mentor them to get them to where they learn how to manage and move the energy and stay with it. And then all of a sudden it turns around, and now they're highly successful. They're very happy they stayed with it. And I've also had others who just said, I don't care what you say. This is not for me. I'm too sensitive. I don't want to feel anybody's energy. And that in itself is a bit of a sadness because once again, there's no off switch. This is our innate ability within us. And some people even believe it's, it's empath DNA, it's said, because it's inside of us and it's multi-generational. If you think back to people in your family, you go back in your family, immediate family around you, you go back to, through your, down the lineage, you'll recognize, when you understand what an empath is, you'll recognize, oh yes, my grandmother or my great-great-grandmother or my grandfather or whoever it may be, they too were empathic, but they might have been called odd or highly sensitive, or they might have been more reclusive. They might have been more what somebody might have said was antisocial, because they didn't know how to deal with the pain of picking up other people's energies. So they said, you know what, I'm just going to seclude myself. I'm going to keep to myself. An empath many times will, we love to be around people because we're balancers. So the call is naturally get out around people, but then we have a saturation point. We can be around groups of people or certain people to a point, and then we've got to back away. Then we've got to say, oh, I've got to go and be by myself for a while. I've got to go sit quietly. I've got to go do something that's calming to me. Maybe it's a walk in nature. Maybe it's sit down, listen to some music. Maybe it's meditation. Whatever it is, I've got to pull back. I cannot allow myself to stay in a situation when I'm reaching my saturation point. You're reaching your saturation point when you start to feel off balance in your own energy. You start to feel like, oh my gosh, my head is starting maybe to hurt a little. I'm starting to feel woozy. I'm starting to feel tired, fatigued. I really just want to sit down and rest. That means you're highly saturated with others' energy. You need to move away from the situation. If it's a party, you need to say, thank you very much. I've had a great time, but now I need to go home and go home. So do not allow yourself to be compromised in a social situation where others say, oh, come on, you can stay, you can stay, you can stay. Meanwhile, you know that your own energy has reached your max. And for your own well-being, you've got to excuse yourself and leave. So that's something that I caution, those of you that are identifying as an empath here, that you can feel in your body when you've reached your point of max, I would say, saturation where you've got to go and be by yourself. So that's where we always say, you want to make sure if you're going out with friends that you take your own car so that you can go home when you need to. You make your life, you arrange it so that it works for you, so that you are always taking care of yourself. You find it impossible to do things that you do not enjoy. Feel like you are living a lie by doing so if you enter into the activity that you do not enjoy. That doesn't mean that if you're in partnership with someone and they really want to do something once in a while and you say, you know what, I'm going to go and support you, I'll go. And you go, and before you go, you understand how to manage your own energy and how to put yourself in a bubble, so to speak, energetically, that where you're not going to allow the crowd's energy to penetrate you, that you'll be able to do that. You'll be able to do that when you are consciously aware of what you are doing. Doesn't mean that you always say no. It means that you do not let yourself be put in situations repeatedly of which you do not want to be in. Feel like you're living a lie if you do. So if you do, it's going to bother you because, once again, one of the innate abilities that we have are balancing. We can't balance a lie. A lie is a lie. It's imbalanced by its nature. So we will feel imbalanced. We feel imbalanced. Now we're in trouble because we're not grounded in our energy. We're going to pick up everything around us. We're going to be ungrounded. So we've got a window and a door open for anything to come on in. And then we've got to clean it up. So be careful with that one. Strive for the truth. This becomes more prevalent when an empath discovers their gifts as a birthright. Anything untruthful feels painful. We're always looking for answers and knowledge. To an unanswered question can be frustrating for an empath. Why? Because they want to solve it. They want to balance. They want everything to be good, feel better, be knowledgeable, have an answer. So we will research until we find the answer, and the answer that feels good to us. So sometimes some of us can be a bit obsessive with our researching. Somebody's talking about something and you're, I got to research that. I got to go home and look that up. But now we've got Google, so we can constantly live on Google or YouTube because we're looking everything up. We like adventure, freedom, and travel. Empaths, freedom is a big one. If any time we are experiencing energy of which we are interpreting as the lack of freedom, somebody is smothering us, if we're in a relationship, we're not going to stay. So there's where we have some difficulty sometime in having, intimate relationships, because they've got to be balanced. If they're not balanced, we cannot remain in them for very long. We abhor clutter. It makes an empath feel weighted down and blocks the flow of energy. We not only abhor it, we do not understand it. How anyone would want to exist within clutter. We love to daydream. We can stare into space for hours in a world of our own, blissfully happy. We are fantasizers. We have great ability to use our powerful imagination. We can be storytellers, writers. Many of the people today, especially the young folks who spend a lot of time on games, doing games, video games, they are highly empathic. They're tuning into the energy, and their minds are being fed by the creative nature of the games of which you're playing, to the point where sometimes it's difficult to pull away from, many times. Find routines, rules, or control imprisoning. Have trouble with authority figures. Anything that takes away our freedom is debilitating and even poisonous to an empath. An empath always needs to be free. When an empath feels imprisoned in a relationship, they will then move to control and try to control something in their life. And it's not a healthy place to be. Prone to carry weight without necessarily overeating. The excess weight is a form of protection to stop the negative incoming energies having an impact. So wait without overeating. We can hold water. Water is energy moves in the water. We understand that that's a barrier energetically. It's a conductive for energy, a conductor for energy. So we understand that on some level and will hold weight. It gives us a barrier or protection. Many times someone who's experienced, being overpowered or abused in some way will have an issue with protection with weight. So we'll hold weight until we're able to heal whatever it is that we're holding on to and feel safe again. And then the weight just disappears. Empaths are excellent listeners. An empath won't talk about themselves much. It's to say to someone they trust, they might share a little bit. They love to learn and know about others and genuinely care. We're sincere. We genuinely care. We do not want to talk about ourselves. We want to hear about you. That's an empath. Why? Because innately, we're balancers. So we are feeling the energy and we are working with the energy while we're holding the conversation with someone else. It's naturally what's taking place. We have the ability to feel days of the week. That Friday feeling, we can feel that. We can feel the Monday blah. We can feel the energy of the people that are around us at all times. Now, narcissism. We are kind, compassionate, good listeners, balancers. We may not tolerate the energy if we're aware of what's going on with somebody who is egotistical or narcissistic. But many times when they put on their mask and they are being manipulative, we may not be aware that we're getting ensnared in a trap, because the egotistical or narcissistic individual may prey upon an empath because of the nature of the empath being so compassionate, so willing to give, so open, so receptive. So we have to really watch and feel the energy of somebody who may be egotistical or narcissistic. And when we find out, we don't tolerate it. Then we make a change. But we can become ensnared by that energy initially if we're not paying attention. That's why we need to learn how to interpret energy that we feel. We may be feeling it, but not necessarily interpreting it correctly. We're excellent listeners once again. We choose not to buy antiques. Anything secondhand. I've even known of people who do not want to buy a home secondhand because the people who lived in it prior, their energy is imprinted. If we're buying something secondhand in a secondhand store, the energy of the previous owner is imprinted. And those that are highly empathic, highly sensitive, will pick up that energy, will feel it inside their body. So many times I myself do not even like to walk into a secondhand store. Sometimes I will, but most of the time it's not for me. It's not for me. We're sensitive to food, sensitive to the energy of the food, where it was grown, how it was grown. Was it grown with love? Is it a product of an animal that's been, raised inhumanely? We'll feel that. We'll feel the energy of that. Not everyone can, but highly empathic people do. We can appear moody, shy, aloof, or disconnected, depending on how we're feeling. And it may be our energy or not. So when we're moody or what we're feeling, it's up to us to ask, ooh, is this my energy or am I picking this up? Once again, have I sat in somebody's seat that was feeling this way and left the energy behind and I sat in it or not? So that's for us to learn. When we learn what it is we're feeling, one of a challenge for an empath is we're feeling so much. It's now interpreting what we're feeling. We can misinterpret information. And so it's learning how to interpret the information that we're feeling. I'm feeling, okay, I want to go for a new job, and I wake up and I'm feeling a little off. Oh, I'm feeling off. It must be because of that job I'm going for. It's not the right job. I shouldn't be going for that job. I'm just not getting the feeling. But meanwhile, what you could be feeling is the earth. You could be feeling something's going to happen someplace on the planet. You could be feeling that there's an earthquake about to take place. Many highly sensitive empaths can feel that energy. It could be somebody that you're connecting to. They've just suffered a loss and you're picking it up and you're thinking it has to do with you. And not that it has to do with you, that it's yours. It has to do with the circumstance that's happening in your life, the job of which you're looking to go for. So it's for us to really question this feeling. What is this feeling? What am I picking up? Is this mine, this energy, or am I picking up the energy from someone else or somewhere else? And when you're tuning into, is this mine? You'll feel the energy powerfully if it is. If you ask if it's coming from someone else and you ask, is this mine? You will get the sense, oh, this is not mine. I'm picking it up. So when I'm picking it up, then I move it. And I'll get to how we do that in a few minutes. But understand there's a difference. We have to know when we're picking something up or when it's ours. And the way it's very subtle at times. So we have to learn to be really good at interpreting the energy. And we can do it. Remember, in order to be empathic, you've earned this. You've reached a certain spiritual level, let's say, so that you've come in to the planet to be a balancer of energy. So in order to be the true effective balancer of energy, you understand what it is you're picking up. You understand how to move it. You understand how to balance. And that's when you come into really knowing what's going on. You become really skilled and really, really effective. So we went over what it is to be an empath. And then there's highly sensitive people. They're called HSPs. So there's a difference between a highly sensitive person and a highly sensitive empath. They're not the same. It's like psychics and mediums. A psychic is a psychic. A psychic may be a psychic and a medium, meaning they can pick up the energy that's around us in our field, in our auric field. This is a psychic. They're picking up the energy on the earth. A medium is going beyond. They're into the spirit world. They're going beyond. So you can be psychic and a medium. Not all psychics are mediums. Empathic, highly sensitive empaths can be a highly sensitive empath and a highly sensitive person. Highly sensitive people are not empaths. I hope that makes sense. So now I'm going to go to the difference between a highly sensitive people and empaths, because people tend to confuse those two, and they're not the same. Highly sensitive people and empaths share some similarities, that they do, that there are distinct differences between the two. Here are some key differences. 1, sensitivity. Both highly sensitive people and empaths are sensitive to external stimuli and emotions. However, being highly sensitive is a broader term that encompasses various forms of sensitivity, including sensory sensitivity, emotional sensitivity, sensitivity to subtle cues. On the other hand, empaths primarily refer to individuals who are highly sensitive to the emotion and energy of others. Like a sponge, drawing in the emotion, reading the energy. Highly sensitive person, the lights overhead are too strong. Somebody's perfume is assaulting. Somebody's voice, the sound of their voice may get them. That's a highly sensitive person. Highly sensitive person, an empath can also feel that. So then they would be both highly sensitive individual plus empathic. Two, empathy is a central characteristic of empaths, whereas not all highly sensitive necessarily possess heightened empathic abilities. Empathy refers to the capacity to understand and share the emotion of others, often to an intense degree. Empaths have a strong ability to pick up and absorb the emotions and energy of those around them. Highly sensitive people do not absorb the energies of those around them. They may become unsettled by the energies, but they do not absorb them. Emotional boundaries. Highly sensitive people may experience emotions deeply and intensely, but they can still establish and maintain boundaries between their own emotions and the emotions of others. Empaths, on the other hand, may struggle with maintaining emotional boundaries and may have difficulties distinguishing between their own emotions and those of others. Empaths may unintentionally, and often do, absorb and carry the emotional energy of others. Highly sensitive people do not. They do not absorb and carry that energy. They can feel it, but they don't absorb it. Sensitivity. Highly sensitive people may be sensitive to a broader range of stimuli. Once again, noise, light, physical sensations, in addition to emotional stimuli. Empaths, while they may also be sensitive to external stimuli, have a primary focus on emotional stimuli and energy of others, because our innate essence is to balance. We balance. So we are developed enough spiritually to take in the energy and then learn how to work with it, how to move it. So it says, me and I don't want to, how can I block? Okay. We don't want to, I'm constantly picking up a lot of negativity. Yeah, because you're supposed to. Okay. As an empath, you're going to, there's no off switch. We can't turn it off, but we want to learn how to take in that energy and how to move it through us. We don't keep it. We don't make it ours. We don't assign it to us. We bring it in and we transmute it. And I'll talk a little bit about that right after the station break. But it's time now to take a station break here on WLTK Radio. And there's much more to come. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Want to see your video here? Sponsor WLTK DB Talk Radio and watch us make that happen. With your paid sponsorship of $80, you receive a professional produced audio, video, and banner placement on our station. Not only does your sponsorship air during our live shows, but also replayed on our podcast and heard by hundreds of like-minded people. Visit WLTKDB.com to get started and find out just how hard we work to get you noticed.
So, welcome back to the Voice of Oneness on WLTK Talk Radio. Now, on this half of the show, I want to talk about how to work with the energy of which we are picking up. And many times we're going to say it's negative energy because it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. It's not our energy. We're taking it on. We're taking it on because we are balancers. So we want to take it on. We've got this beautiful gift to feel at such depth that most people, unless they're highly empathic, do not feel. We feel deeply, and we are to embrace that, accept that we are that. And we're here to work with energy on the planet. This is our gift. This is our superpower. We know what truth is. We don't have to ask what's true or what's not. We know it inside. We can feel it. We can feel at that depth, and we are to feel at that depth, not to shy away from it because it's painful when we don't know what's going on. I know that. I've experienced that. But the good news is embedded within us, just like it's our nature to balance, embedded within us is how to move the energy. And it's a triad. It's transducing, translating, and transmuting. 3 main aspects of managing the energy. So we translate it. That's finding another way to convey meaning or comprehension. Transmutation allows the energy received to simply move through and change, move through you and change. And transducing, we modulate, we soften, we step it down. So when somebody, one example of transducing, if somebody's really agitated, we can simply modulate our voice and our tone, and we do that. And we open our heart and we're in the space with them. And now we're taking on that energy and we're able to transduce it. We can step it down. We can diffuse a situation. Yeah. So it's awful until it's not. It's awful until we understand what's happening and how to work with it. So when we learn that we can transduce, we can step down energy. And when we're taking in this negative energy, we take it in, we don't hold it. It's not, we're not here to be the hero to hold the negative energy. We take it in naturally. We're naturally absorbing it. We're not going, come on, come to me, come to me. It's natural. It's just, we take it in like a sponge. We take it in like a sponge. It's in our body now. We can feel it. Now we want to connect. We want to connect with either the earth. We want to ground ourselves with the earth, or we want to connect with plants and trees. Plants, trees, or standing on the earth. And we can connect with a tree. There are certain trees, and as an empath, you just sense the trees. When you're out in nature, you just sense which tree is calling to me. And then you go over to that tree, and you put your forehead against that tree, your third eye, and you just put your third eye to that tree, and you just allow that tree to absorb from you the energy of which you've taken in. That tree will take in your energy, bring it down through its trunk, into the roots, down through the roots, into the earth. And it will transmute that energy for you. And then you will then be lifted. You will then feel lighter. The energy then coming back to you is that which is balanced. And that is a healing session in and of itself. So trees, plants, if you've taken on, you're out somewhere and you've taken on energy and it feels awful, touch something metal, a gate, a chair, something metal in the environment. It immediately releases the energy from your body into the metal. Metal absorbs. Knowing that metal absorbs, if you are wearing metal on your body, I'm wearing metal earrings, silver earrings. If you're wearing silver, if you're wearing earrings, if you're wearing bracelets, if you're wearing rings, they all absorb energy. So at the end of the day, you want to cleanse your jewelry because it's taken on the energy of which you've been around. If you've been shaking people's hands all day, or you've been touching people, you're a healer, you're working with people, your jewelry is absorbing the energy. You want to make sure you're cleansing that energy. You're taking it off your body. If you're an energy healer, you're putting energy into it to clear it, to cleanse it. You're washing it with soap and water. You're bringing light to it. You're using incense maybe, and the smoke of the incense, and you just put it around the jewelry to cleanse the jewelry. You're doing some sort of cleansing ritual to get rid of the energy that your jewelry has absorbed during the day. So know that. Okay? Now, you've got yourself, you've got the body. If you're absorbing energy, you can release it into metal, trees, plants, or you can immediately just close your eyes and imagine light, draw it into your body, and the light is coming through and it's pushing down. And as it's pushing down, brilliant white light's pushing down, and the light that it's pushing, the energy that it's pushing down imagine it is gray. It's like a gray tone to it, because that's that energy that you want to push out. So that energy is being pushed out, and you're just pushing down. This light's coming down through your body, all the way through the body, released through the soles of your feet into the earth, where the energy is then transmuted. So you've released it from you. You didn't hold it. You did your job. You rebalanced because you moved it through you. You gave it to the earth. The earth then transmuted it, brings it back up into the field of which we are all within. It's nice and it's balanced. So you've done your job. We feel awful when we hold it, when it comes into us, and we can feel it and we don't want it there. There's no on or off switch. You cannot make yourself not an empath, because you're born as an empath. You came here to work with energy, to transmute energy, to transduce energy, to translate energy. That's why you're here. You're a balancer. Okay. But as you're working in this life as an empath, and the energy is a little too much and you're overwhelmed, you've got to back out of the experience of which you're in, whatever it may be that you're doing. Make sure you have time to rest. Make sure that you are around water and that you place your body in water, preferably salt water. Epsom salt baths are good. Fresh salt water, ocean water is good. You want to have a little fountain. Little fountain's good to have by the side of your bed, so that you are falling asleep to the sound of the water. That's very soothing to the energy. So you want to be around water. You want to make sure that you have time to yourself. You want to make sure that you enter into some sort of meditation practice. You want to make sure that you are grounding yourself to the earth, that you're centering yourself between the earth and God, that which created you. You want to come into center all the time, seek balance, because you are a balancer. A balancer cannot effectively balance if they're unbalanced. So that's part of what we are responsible for. We're responsible for managing our own energy, making sure that we are balanced. If you are going to a place and say it's awful that, you're picking up this energy, it's all around you, you want to know how to block it. You're not feeling that you want to be open at this time. You don't want to be receptive to it. You can imagine yourself wearing a suit of armor. Place a suit of armor on your body, using your mind's eye, your imagination, seeing yourself in this armor. This armor is all around me. I've suited up energetically. At an energetic level, I am suited in this armor. This armor is all around me. The only thing that can come into this armor is that which is of love. All else remains outside. So you are protected inside this armor. That's another way that you can do it. You can do it that you are in a field of light, a bubble of light, an egg of light, and you just move within this light. Your body suit, your body is within this light, and it's impervious to anything that's negative, only that which is love. Because we don't want to create a wall, a block, and block out the energies of which are around us. We want to interrelate with the energies that are around us. For if we're blocking all the energies all the time, then we're not able to balance, and we will not be balanced. We will not do very well emotionally, mentally, or physically if we are not working with the energy in a balanced state. I hope that makes sense. So you don't want to block yourself off because it's painful. You want to learn how to work with it so that you are able to embrace it and be highly effective as a balancer of energy. That's the goal. The goal is to live your life as a highly sensitive empath, embracing that which you are. You've earned it. It wasn't given to you as a curse. You earned it. There's no other way to receive it. You can't take a course in becoming a highly sensitive empath. It's not possible. That's innately within you. It's a characteristic of your divine nature. You are a feeler. So I'm a feeler. How does this play out in my role in the family of which I'm involved in? And the job that I have? Those that are around me, my friends. And you have to ask yourself, what's going on in the environment around me? Remember, energy is that which we are. Everything's energy. Energy vibrates. It's in movement. We live in a vibrational universe. Like vibration attracts like vibration. So the vibration of which we are giving off with our own thoughts and feelings is that which we receive back in our life. So if I'm around and I'm always picking up on this negative energy, what is my belief about negative energy? For as we grow in learning and understanding that we are this highly sensitive empath, we come to an understanding that energy is neither negative nor positive. Energy simply is. We define it. So am I defining the energy in my life as negative? Because maybe I'm oversensitive because I'm imbalanced and it doesn't feel good. I'm overwhelmed. I'm saturated. I need to rest. I need to cleanse my body. I might need to go to a healer and have the healer work with me to release this energy of which may be stuck in me. And once we come into balance, now we've got a totally new outlook. Now we feel ready to meet the challenge. Because with everything in life, there are challenges. There are wonderful aspects to everything, and there are also challenges. I've been dealing with a coworker, and she won't stop. I feel her hate. I hear you for 9 years. Okay. And I've been looking for a healer. Okay. You feel her hate. Okay. Now you've recognized where this energy is coming from. So let me ask you, can you disconnect from within yourself if you ask yourself, because this is tricky. This is tricky. And I don't want to have this come across not the way I want to say it. Healing heart, highly empathic. You're on this earth to balance. We have a difficult time when people are not pleased with us. Okay? If we sense that they don't like us, and that's for everybody. There are people that are not going to like our energy. They're just not going to like us. But if we are not okay with that, because we are so highly empathic and we want to balance the energy and we want to make it better, then we're holding on to within ourselves, it's not acceptable for her to hate me. What if you can turn that around and say, those are her feelings. That is her feeling. She's entitled to it. If she chooses hate, then I allow her to do so. I'm not here to fix her. I can't get her to choose differently, but I can choose differently. I can choose that when I'm around her, I am wearing my armor plate, and her energy will not penetrate. It's hard when she goes out of her way to shove, push, throw things at me and others. Do you mean physical things are being thrown at you? I'd have to ask why is that allowed in a place of employment? That she's yes, physical things. My goodness. Okay. It's hard when she goes out of her way to shove, push, throw. Mhm. Mhm. I would immediately take the energy of which you feel that you've been around for this 9 years, and I do the work of bringing the light into the body and moving that energy out of the body by the light pushing it down and out. And I'd imagine it going into the earth where it is now transmuted and comes back, it's cleansed and clear. And then I would see this individual in the light of kindness, in the light of now all of a sudden she's transformed. She's no longer hurtful. She's no longer pushing or shoving or throwing things. Now she's a different person. See her differently in your mind. Feel her differently in your body. And see if she shows up differently. Mm. So you make the change within you on how you perceive her. And see her within the mind as someone who is the opposite of the way she's been behaving. And see her as she doesn't even see you anymore. You don't even come up on her radar. You don't exist. She doesn't see you. So you're not focused on what she does and how evil you believe she is. You're focusing on that she's a different person and she's behaving differently. And perhaps she doesn't even know you're in the space. Does that make sense? Do not enter into anything with her. Try to convince her of anything. Do not that's not balancing. Okay? That's battle. We don't want to battle here. We want to balance. So you want to withdraw your energy from her. No, you withdraw your energy from her. Never mind what anyone else is doing. You do it. You take your energy back from her. And you place it within your own self and you move it through you into the earth, and then you see her as one who is compliant. Do not continue to give her the energy. Do not condone her behavior. Okay? You're not condoning it. You're saying now it is shifted. In other words, she's seen the light. Now she's gonna behave differently. You do that. You're the balancer. You do that. And if you can do that and truly do that, you may find that she shows up differently. She's no longer bothering you, or she may move on to a different job, or you may move on to a different job. But do that. Do not give her your energy by battling with what she's doing. Simply walk away from the space of which she's in. Do not allow her to throw things at you. Walk away before she throws something. But it is for you to manage your energy, not assign it that somebody else is making you miserable. Nobody has that power to do so unless we give it to them. So take it back. You make yourself well. That's important. So try that. Give it a try. And stay with it. Give it a try. Hold within your mind. You just keep going back and reflecting onto the image of this is a peaceful coworker. And that's where you stay. That's what you do. And that's what I recommend doing. We are translators of information. Okay? We literally and qualitatively manage and counsel. We facilitate transmutation of changing the energy, as in helping others to let go of one's feeling and allowing another. Empaths study religion, psychology, philosophy, spirituality. They're into the arts. They're into healing professions. What I would do here with your work situation as well, as you do your part by changing it within you, and then get the group of people that you work with that are also experiencing the same energy to come together and to sit in group together at the same time and all hold the thought of her rising above her behavior and seeing her as compliant in that she is no longer abusing anyone, but she is compliant and she does her jobs, you do yours. I've done Reiki and meditation. Good. So take the energy within yourself and move it, change it, and also sit with the group who is experiencing it at work if you can all come together. I tried self-help and healing books. So practice. Okay. So say there's a reason why you're in this situation. So ask yourself in the meditation, help me to see this, what is happening here? What is seeking to emerge from inside of me that this situation is playing a role that it's playing here? So that I can come to the awareness, perhaps, that I hold the power and that no one has power over me. This has a solution. Love is always the answer. So when we can see from a loving perspective, not a fearful perspective, but a loving perspective, she can't accuse you of sexual harassment if you're not in her space. What is your lesson is you're okay. So this woman, you feel by what you're describing here, she has a lot of power. And you're from the words that you're using, it may be that you were saying you have none. So your lesson here is to realize that you do hold the power and you can make the change. Begin by doing it the way I suggested and see what happens. Stay with it for at least a week, every day, at least a week. And do not allow yourself to step back into she has the power. You hold the power. It's within your own mind. You see her as someone who is compliant. All of her actions that have been abusive and harmful just drop away. They dissolve. And you have a totally new work environment. See it that way and see what happens. Don't go back into what she's done. Don't live in the past. What's happened is the past. That energy is complete. It's done. You're here right now in the future, and in the present rather, and you are going to create a different future. You're going to take this present moment and you're going to be the balancer that you are here to be. You're going to exercise your right within your own mind and body. You're going to check within your body to see if you are holding on to any of the resentful energy based on actions that have taken place. You let it go and you see moving forward, a compliant individual. And that's where you stay. You do not go back. Try that. And that's what I suggest. I hope that helps. Okay? So we transmute, we transduce, and we translate, finding another way to convey the meaning or comprehension. You'll try. Excellent. Excellent. Do. So you're gonna take this energy and you're gonna translate it. You're gonna translate it to something's going on here. I don't exactly know what. I don't understand. It doesn't feel good. But now I'm going to move the energy here in such a way that the outcome is going to be of my choosing. Okay? My choosing. I'm choosing to see this individual. I'm choosing to see the goodness in them. Not that they are behaving in a good way by what you're describing, but I'm not going to pay attention to the behavior. I'm going to see past that. And I'm going to see the goodness in them. And I'm not going to allow myself to be drawn into anything that is not love. So try that. And see what happens. And if you can get some of the others who are experiencing what you're experiencing to join you in that, that's even better. Even better. So that is something for you to do, because once again, it's a challenge. So we want to say, see the words that you're using, it will be hard, means that you've decided inside of you that it's hard. It's a challenge. It's simply a challenge. It's simply just a challenge, and you are going to rise up and you say to yourself, I am rising up and I am ready to meet the challenge. And that's what you do. That she just accused in March, her coworkers, 6 total victims. Meet the challenge. Rise up. You can do it. Meet the challenge. And anytime you can put that armor around you and you could block her energy. Okay? You can block that energy. You say simply no. No. There's no space for you here. In my energy field, I block. I put a block, and you can block. Okay? But you're learning, the focus is on you learning how to manage your energy. We're not managing her. That's for her to do. She has her own things to come of an awareness that what she's doing. That's hers. But you block it. You can block it. All right. Okay. So once again, it's for us to learn how to move the energy, that we're not taking it on and holding it inside of our bodies, because we're going to feel it. Thank you. You're welcome. Yes. Yes. And I hold too that you are creating within you the vision of this woman being compliant, and that you are free from any abuse. Knowing that we are empaths and we take in and feel the energy around us, we absorb it like a sponge, but it's not ours to keep. It's ours to translate, transmute, or transduce. Now, when we are transmuting it, we're not saying this is a bad energy, this is bad, it's got to go. No, we're transmuting it we're taking it through the body and we're passing it on to the earth or to a tree or to a plant, so it can be cleansed and cleared. Or if we feel comfortable in doing that within ourselves with the light, as I suggested before, we can do that too. But you want to make sure that you're entering to self-care for yourself, that you are being aware of the energy that you are around. So, for instance, if this individual that you're speaking of here was in a lunchroom, I wouldn't go and sit in the lunchroom. I wouldn't eat in that lunchroom. I'd eat somewhere else. I wouldn't be around them. I'd choose to be in a different space. So that's one thing to be aware of. So be aware of your surroundings. Know that the environment matters. You are always going to pick up on the energy around you. As you pick up on it, you experience it, and you decide on how you're going to move it. If you wake up feeling a certain way, say, is this my energy or am I picking this up? If you're a healer and you're working with other people and you feel the energy, you want to make sure that you are cleansing your field. You want to make sure that you are maybe working with another healer who helps you, or that you are doing some cleansing techniques, even in your mind, just visualizing that you are standing underneath a waterfall and the water is crystal clear and it's pouring down over you and it's cleansing your auric field and it's flowing. The light then flows inside of your body and cleanses the inside of your body. You want to make sure that you're doing some sort of practice. You can also have a crystal, a stone, or some type of talisman, some object that's meaningful to you, and you can have it in your pocket, and you know that when you touch that object, that is taking the energy and helping it move through you. You're immediately going to think within your mind, cleanse, clear, move this energy through, and you're going to do that. So you can touch a stone or some sort of object, a talisman, and it reminds you to cleanse that energy, move it through. Don't hold it. Don't hold it. Don't be drawn into somebody else's energy field if they're abusive to you. Don't allow that, because no one can abuse us unless we allow. So know that. So work with cleansing your energy field, being aware that you do pick up the energy. Once again, you've earned that energy. It's innate within you. You are a balancer. People will naturally feel when you walk into a room, your energy is felt whether they realize it or not. You are balancing the field of energy in a space, in a room. You may have been in your family, you may have been what I call the Band-Aid. The one who makes everything better for other family members. They call you when they have something going on because you're the Band-Aid, because you are a balancer. And people don't necessarily call it that, but they do recognize that there's something special about the energy. And I don't mean in a specialness. I mean that you hold the ability to balance, that energy. And that's living life as a highly sensitive empath, realizing that it is your superpower. It is a gift, and how wonderful to be of service to the world in this way. It's a beautiful thing. It's something to be embraced. It's something to realize that it is such a wonderful way to be, because you feel so deeply and you know and recognize truth. And when somebody is available to listen or to be around you, and they are open, you can impact their world in a positive way. You are a balancer. So, as we end tonight, I want to take a moment and have everybody just close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, just breathe in. Just breathe. Take a nice deep breath in. Hold in that breath and release. And take one more nice deep breath in and say, this is the cleansing light I'm breathing in, this brilliant white light. Breathe in. And this light flows into your body at the top of your head, at the crown, and flows through your whole body as you hold your breath. Then as you release the breath, it releases the light from the soles of your feet that flows down into the earth below, where this energy is absorbed and it is transmuted, and then it is released back into the field in a positive charge of energy. And you are free. You are clear. And you feel peace. Take one more nice deep breath in. Hold that breath. Release with an ah. All is well in your world. And so it is. Peace be with you. Good night.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTKDB.com.